One, two, three. All right, checking to see if anybody can hear me. Let me know. Let me know. Going to do an update here, and I'm going to do something a little different today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this running, and I will jump in from time to time to give updates on what's going on. And as you can see, we've got a big mess across the region right now with these storms kind of making their way through western and central parts of Maryland. Big old batch of storms. So, 1 second, I'm going to get things set up and started with. I'll let a few more people jump on and then I'll get going. Okay, Megan, good. You can hear me. I'm coming in loud and clear. Boy, this is turning into a noisy afternoon and a little bit stormy for some folks. And that was one of the things that I was concerned with the sun coming out for a couple of hours this afternoon, is that we would get some storms that would be severe. We've already started to see that now across parts of western and central Maryland. And we've got a large area that's actually dealing with severe weather right now. We've got severe thunderstorm warnings that extend as far east as western Baltimore County and parts of central and western Howard County. So this goes all the way to 95 almost, and then extends down into Montgomery County. You can clearly see the storms that are developing there across the region as far east as western Howard County. We've got storms up into parts of Carroll, Frederick, and down into Loudoun County, Virginia. So all this is going to be heading east. I think the movement is east at about 25 miles an hour. And these storms, I think, will probably be getting into the Baltimore area probably by 6 o'clock, if not a little bit earlier. We're already starting to get some storms popping up out ahead of it. So we've got the main cluster of storms back to the west. We've got these coming in from the north, these coming in from the west, developing right along I-70. And then we've got more storms that are now starting to develop across Baltimore City and northern Anne Arundel County. And recently, the Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center decided to upgrade the area to a tornado watch. And the reason for that is, in this particular area, the wind shear is a little bit more favorable for perhaps maybe a spin-up tornado or two. We're not expecting a tornado outbreak, not expecting any violent tornadoes or anything like that. But especially near the bay and east is where we have a little bit more favorable environment for maybe a couple of tornadic storms here for this evening. Right now, a lot of the storms are merging and kind of running into each other, which is not necessarily the most favorable situation for tornadic storms. But either way, at the very least, you're going to get some strong winds out of these storms as they push on through. So there's your tornado watch. Again, it goes until 10 o'clock. The severe thunderstorm watch does remain in effect for areas off towards the west. That would go all the way out to Allegheny County. That goes until 10 o'clock as well. Although most of those areas out west probably are going to be dropped from the watch within the next couple of hours as the main concentration of storms begin shifting eastward. We also have this flood watch in effect, and I would argue that even more areas other than what you see here are going to be affected by flash flooding. And we're already seeing some big storms out to the west, as I just showed you. Those have rainfall rates that are fairly high, and we're going to be seeing that continue off to the east. So just because these counties are under green here for the flood watch does not necessarily mean that other areas won't be prone to that here for this evening. So let's take a quick look at what's going on across the entire region now. And we've got severe thunderstorm warnings now coming out. Looks like we've got them out now for parts of northern Hartford, northern parts of Baltimore County. And then we've got these that are coming in from the west here, affecting sections of Baltimore, as well as Carroll, Howard, down in Montgomery, down into Frederick County as well. And those extend down into northern parts of Virginia. And again, these storms will have the capability of producing wind gusts 60 to 70 miles an hour as they push on through. This particular thunderstorm warning that's off to the north here, it's a little bit different color, and that's what we call one that's considerable damage, meaning that there is a heightened threat for some stronger winds with this particular band of storms here. What I'll do is I'll go a little bit closer so you can see the areas affected by that. Now I'll turn the loop off, put it right here. So this particular severe thunderstorm warning that you see right here that goes basically from the Susquehanna River back to the west, including parts of northern Carroll County up around the Manchester and Hampstead area, up in the far northern Baltimore County, Parkton and Hereford area, and also back towards Prettyboar Reservoir, and then also extending into northern sections of Harford County. So this would be north of the Forest Hill area up towards Pilesville and Norrisville. As these storms start to push south and eastward, we could be looking at some wind gusts here in excess of 60 miles an hour, maybe up to 70 miles an hour, as they push out of southern parts of Pennsylvania here, so out of sections of York County and Lancaster County. So back to the west, we're looking at these storms here. And I want to look at something real quick because that doesn't look, I don't like the way that looks. So I'm going to loop it and see if I can see anything. One of the things I'm going to be watching for this evening are these storms that pop up out ahead of the main cluster. I think that if we have storms in this particular mass here, they're going to have a little more difficult time rotating and producing tornadoes. It's the ones that pop up out ahead, particularly ones that may be interacting with the bay breeze here that's developed this afternoon. We're going to have to watch these for the possibility of some rotation, but these are basically moving in a northeasterly direction like this. The whole cluster of storms, though, is moving in the easterly direction. Of course, you got this surge coming in from the south. It's any of these storms that you see kind of riding up from the bottom of the screen and up towards the north that may exhibit a little bit of rotation here. So those are the ones that I'm going to be really paying attention to that may have that potential for some rotation there. Right now, not really seeing it, but just something that I'll watch here over the next several hours as these storms just kind of make their way across the region. What I'll do is jump over here and see if you guys are asking any questions. So, yeah, getting dark over in Queen Anne's County. That makes sense. Check over and friends over in the Eastern Shore, see what's going on. Yeah, look at these storms that are trying to blow up down here. Now, these must have really just popped up here in the last hour or so. I don't want to forget about you guys over here. And I'm going to switch over to the Dover radar that has a little better view of these. Turn the loop off. So we've got storms now, southern Calvert, and this severe thunderstorm warning there. So that includes St. Mary's as well. This is a nasty little storm, and it's going to cross over the Chesapeake over into parts of Dorchester County, mainly west of Cambridge. And these are going to be moving up into Talbot County. So there's Talbot County right here, St. Michael's, Tillman Island, out towards Easton and Oxford. These are going to be tracking up in this general direction. So heads up for you if you're watching from western portions of Dorchester County or perhaps Talbot County. We got these storms coming in from the southwest. They're going to be headed your way. And this one actually may affect Cambridge here as it moves in this general direction. So heads up for you if you're down in there. If you know someone down that way, looks like this storm may be getting up that way by 6 o'clock, if not a little bit earlier. So we've got those storms there. Some approaching Kent Island now, so out towards Romancoke. These are going to be heading up towards Stevensville and the Bay Bridge. And we'll see if these kind of hold themselves together as they approach places like Graysonville and maybe get up into Kent County in the next hour and a half or so. These storms in Baltimore County and Anne Arundel County are really starting to get ramped up. And I'll switch back over to the Sterling radar. And again, what I'm watching for with these little individual storms, so when I say individual, I'm talking about there's one there, there's one there, there's one there. They're kind of separated from one another. They have a little better chance of rotating when they're not all congealed into one big mass like the ones out to the west. These are the ones you'll have to watch for rotation. And what I'll look for are these little appendages on the backside of the storm. These storms are moving in this general direction. So What I'm going to be watching for is to see if we see the back end of it curling up a bit. That means it's trying to tap into some shear there. And you never know. You could get an area of rotation out of it as it kind of rides along whatever boundary that it sees there. So something else, and that's pretty close to the bay too, and that's kind of where that bay breeze boundary is set up. And sometimes we'll get that situation where we'll have storms that'll tap into that bay breeze boundary. There's a little circulation on that. They'll stretch it, tilt it up, that circulation, and spin it up into a potential area of rotation. But right now, there is some very broad rotation, it appears, out towards Mount Airy. And I want to show, I mean, it's broad. I do want to emphasize that because when you look at the scale at the top of this, when you start getting into these bright colors, that means the circulation's strong. But you see that right there with the radar out of Sterling, which is at the bottom of the screen here. Doppler radar, what it does is it can detect motion or which way the hydrometeors or which way the rain drops are moving inside the storm. And red is blowing away from the radar site, green is blowing towards, and so there may be some very weak rotation right here just west of Mount Airy. I'll see if that's co-located with the area of reflectivity. And it kind of, sort of, looks like, it may be just a little bit off from there a little bit, but you see that little appendage on the backside here? So it's those little features that I'll be watching with these individual storms as they move out ahead of this main cluster. When I'm talking about the main cluster is this right here. Look at all this. Look at all this back to the west here. Big area of showers and storms with lots of lightning in and around parts of Frederick County. So this will be out towards Newmarket and out towards looks like places like Walkersville. And these storms are kind of moving in this easterly direction here. So lots of lightning with these. Be careful of being outside. You don't want to be outside, of course, in these storms as they push on through. And then I want to look at this storm with the considerable damage tag on it. And it certainly makes sense why. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm looking at. See how this kind of looks like a backward C? Like this kind of situation here with this line of storms. And notice how it's kind of surging out. You see that little surge right there. Those are really strong winds on the leading edge of that. So Parkton, you're probably getting in on it now. Heads up for you, northern parts of Harford County. You're looking at some pretty strong winds here. We could be looking at 60, 70 mile an hour wind gusts as they pushes on through. And these are the kind of signatures I'm looking for. This is what we call a bow echo. It's bowing out, and we're starting to see basically this area of rain surging outward. And so this is going to affect Baltimore County. They're probably going to be issuing another maybe considerable tagged severe thunderstorm warning for areas a little bit farther towards the south. So heads up for you in Falston and Bel Air out towards Churchville. If these storms continue in this general direction, it's going to be headed down your way. So even though officially you're not in the warning right now in the Forest Hill area, these storms are going to be heading down your way. Also, same thing for Sparks and Phoenix and Glencoe. These storms are going to be pushing down towards Cockeysville as well, down towards Liberty Reservoir. So something that is going to be very, and Lock Raven Reservoir, I should say. So these are going to be pushing down into Baltimore County, as well as these coming in from the west. So Baltimore County, you're kind of getting sandwiched in from two different directions, from the north and then these coming in from the west. All right, so what do we got here? That's one thing I have not done yet. So I'm going to do a storm track on these, and it's going to be kind of tough because you got storms moving from several different directions. So let me bear with me here while I get this pulled up. And I'm going to use I guess I could use. First of all, I need to find out how fast these are. So these are, 70 mile an hour winds east at 40. So these storms here, oops. I'm going to switch over to that one's. All right, so we've got this one up. And put a storm track on. So this one is going east at about 40 miles an hour. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use like the way it tracks a little. Radar, X-ray. So let's do a storm track on this. This one's 40, so back this one way out. Not necessarily the. There we go. If I were to put a projection on this is what we're looking at for at least this section here. All right, so you see the times of arrival here. So Moncton about 5:03. That's now. And looks like the Falstead area, 5:18. Bel Air, 5:21. Havre de Grace, 5:38. Northeast at 5:49. So getting close to 6 o'clock there. That's if these storms maintain their current speed. Then when you got these out to the west here, turn the storm track off so I can, what do these do? East at 35. Loop it so I can see what they're doing. All right. These actually are picking up speed a little bit. So this one will go east at 35. Arm. Fourth time. Here we go. These are east 35. So we'll kind of guesstimate this is that. All right. You got this cluster of storms. So ignore these that are over Baltimore City right now. I'm talking about this cluster that's coming in from the west. And these are going to be making their way into, looks like getting into the Olney area by 5:21. So we've got these. We've also got the Lutherville area by 5:31, Perry Hall by 5:44. So you can see the storm track on it. If these kind of maintain there, and there may even actually be more of a southerly component to this, so that would get it down into parts of northern Anne Arundel County. But you get the idea here. We've got a large area that is going to be affected by this particular cluster of storms as it moves on through over the next hour or so, next couple of hours. You go back and see if I got any questions. See. Brett says he thinks it's going to skip Middle River. Highly doubt it. Maryland's got lots of lightning in Glen Burnie. That makes sense with those storms down there. Yeah, Edith, safe travels for your husband. Driving in from Westminster to Towson. It's going to be a little rough. I don't know if he's going to outrun them, especially with these coming in from the southwest there. Maybe a little bit rough there. So hopefully he's okay. Finksburg starting to storm there. Jenny, yes, these are headed to Harford County. You've got those storms right up here. They're going to be moving in the northern part of the county, and eventually the entire county is going to be affected by these. Also, the rest of Baltimore County, and then Cecil County, too. You guys are going to get them, Eastern Shore as well. I want to go back to the southern storms because I've been focusing a lot on those northern storms, and these really are starting to get their act together. I would expect a thunderstorm warning soon for maybe parts of Dorchester, but it looks like mainly Talbot County for this storm right here. So I think if it pulses up more, we're probably going to get a warning for Talbot County, maybe even extending into Caroline County and perhaps southern parts of Queen Anne's County. So you got some more development to the north here up towards Kent Island, but it's this storm here that if it continues on this track, will basically take it up towards the eastern area. What I can do is do a storm track on that one. We'll go ahead and say it's moving about 35. This is moving in a general northeasterly direction, so that would put it in St. Michael's here in about another 10 minutes or so, if not a little bit less than that. Easton 527, and then getting into Caroline County close to 6 o'clock. So you kind of see where this is going to be going over the next hour or so as these storms come in off the bay. So you can see the general movement here in that northeasterly fashion at about 35 miles an hour. So we've got those storms. This is a big one that's down here into southern Calvert and St. Mary's County. You can see the purple here, maybe a little bit of hail with that as it pushes south of the Long Beach area near Lusby. And this is going to be moving over into Dorchester County shortly. So big storms down here just to the south of Cambridge. It's going to be heading up towards Cambridge here, probably by 6 o'clock as well, if not a little bit earlier. I had the Sterling radar on for that one. So, yeah, pretty much same story. So that one we'll have to watch coming out of St. Mary's and Calvert, and then this other one that is now making its way through Dorchester and parts of Talbot County. So going back to these storms here through Hartford and Baltimore County, I'll put another loop on it. You can see how this is surging southward. So really anywhere out ahead of this, you're going to get 60, perhaps 70-mile-an-hour winds out of it. You can see all the communities ahead of this little Boeing segment as it pushes through. So Glencoe, it's almost on top of you. Phoenix, going to be headed your way. Right now, no indications of any type of tornadoes or anything like that. These are going to be strong wind producers and heavy rain producers as they move southeast. So this one's surging in a southeasterly direction. And then you've got these coming in from the west. There is a lot. We're probably going to have a flash flood issue. Even though these storms are moving along pretty quickly, the problem is that the rain rates with these are so high that they really don't have to sit over an area for a while to dump a lot of rain. So wouldn't surprise me to see a quick inch of rain out of these as they push on through. The good news is that they're moving. So it's not like that situation we had a couple of weeks ago where these storms were not going anywhere and they were dumping 4 and 5 inches of rain at a time. These are actually kind of steadily making their way along. So that is going to be a good thing, at least cutting down on the flood threat. But we still have that flood watch in effect. And I do think that it'll perhaps increase that flooding threat as the storms get a little bit closer to the bay. See what we got here. Just kind of recap what we've got going on. So we've got the tornado watch that's in effect here until 10 o'clock. All the counties in yellow, that includes the Eastern Shore, Southern Maryland, the Baltimore City, Baltimore County area, up into Northeast Maryland, as far west as Carroll County. But I can tell you that the severe weather threat is going to end fairly quickly. So really, to be honest with you, I think the greatest threat for severe weather is going to be with this cluster here. So anything out west, Allegheny as well as Garrett County, your threat is winding down. It's really going to be mainly with this cluster of storms as it pushes towards the bay in the next couple of hours. See if we got any storm reports coming. Right now, not seeing any, but that's not to say that they aren't doing damage. There are some of these storms have been knocking some trees down and some branches down, but not necessarily in Maryland. But that's really kind of the only two areas that we're watching now. And it appears that now we've got some tornadic storms that are down here in Virginia, but these are going to stay well south of the state. There's one right there. But as far as our area, no tornado warnings, at least not so far. And I hope I didn't just jinx us. But no storms at the moment that are indicating any type of rotation. So to kind of recap what we got going on, and what I'm planning on doing this evening, just to let you know, I'm going to leave the radar running so that you can see kind of where the storms are going, but I'm not necessarily going to be on the entire time. I will jump on and off as I see fit. but I will keep the radar running and the stream going so you can see where the storms are developing. And of course, the latest warnings are scrolling at the bottom of the screen here. But the main thing is once this line pushes through, the threat is going to wind down very quickly, and that should be fairly fast. Really after sunset, particularly areas west of 95. So we've got about another 3 hours of daylight left. I do think, though, by sunset, areas along and west of 95 actually should be pretty much done with the threat for severe weather. It's going to be mainly coming with this cluster. So I'm going to go in a little bit closer here to Baltimore City and southeast Baltimore County. So I know a lot of folks here wondering, they're getting a lot of heavy rain and thunder now. And you can see where this storm is right now. With the heaviest, looks like right over downtown. So out towards Camden Yards and M&T Bank Stadium, all where you see all these purples here, some big storms there. And I might actually be able to get a little better look at it with the terminal radar. So I'll turn that one on so I can see. So this is with the radar out of BWI. And they have terminal radars at these major airports because they need to be able to detect wind shear in these storms so the planes to get in and out, as well as hail threats. And as you can see, the terminal radar is sampling that one pretty nicely here as it moves through Baltimore City. So we've got down towards Hawkins Point, getting out towards the Canton area, downtown, Highlandtown, Pigtown. And you could see this extends all the way up into southeast Baltimore County. So this would include places like Essex and Rosedale. Foley's Quarters right here. These storms should be heading in your general direction and eventually up towards Middle River. So if you're to kind of widen this out, and you can kind of see basically how the motion has them generally kind of moving in a northeasterly direction. And it looks like we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning for that particular storm. So that was just issued. And you can see the details on it right there. This is moving northeast at about 10 miles an hour. So one thing that I'm flagging with this storm is that since it's moving slowly and the rain rates are likely pretty high with it, I do think that the flash flood threat is going to be going up with this one. So we'll have to watch this area maybe for some flash flooding if it happens to stay in this spot or it just only moves perhaps maybe over the next hour up towards White Marsh and Perry Hall. That is if it doesn't rain itself out. Then you've got these other storms coming in from the west that we've got to be concerned with. It's only going to add to the rainfall totals. Now it looks like they've added the rest of Harford County as well as the rest of Baltimore County. You remember I was just talking about that. With this motion, I was expecting other parts of Baltimore as well as Harford County to be included in the severe thunderstorm warning, and that's what we're seeing right now. So that you see the outline here that goes from Port Deposit all the way down towards Havre de Grace, includes Aberdeen, and extends back westward towards the Sparks and Phoenix area, and just north of Cockeysville. That's for this Boeing segment as it moves in this general direction. And see the storm motion on that should be about 40. That's exactly what it's doing. All right, so let's do this again. Accidentally close the program out. Radar back on. And I'm going to do a storm track on this. Have it going. I don't mean to cover up Cecil County, but not really able to work with a whole lot of, I don't have a lot of room here. I'll try to move this up as far as I can just. All right. So here's our line of storms here. And these are the projected areas that are going to be affected by it. So you see Phoenix right now, and then getting out towards Bel Air, looks like by 527. The Aberdeen area looks like by 542, and then northeast Chesapeake City out in Cecil County right around 6 o'clock. So this is going to be moving along pretty nice clip as it moves on through. So they're kind of moving in different directions. We've got storms coming in from the southwest. We've got storms coming in from the west. So they're and then storms coming in from the northwest. So they all have kind of erratic and different storm motions. Let's see, the Hampstead area. Amy wants to know that. Right now, it looks like just some heavy rain and thunder for you guys. You can see all this lightning that's around there. It's particularly down towards Union Bridge and areas west of Westminster and south of Town. That's where the heaviest cluster of storms is now, but just some really heavy downpours out towards parts of northeast Carroll County at the present time. And this is one of the nastiest storms in the area, this one that's right over Baltimore City right now. And what I'll do is I will switch over to this radar. Going a little bit tighter. I don't like the way that one looks. I'm not saying there's an immediate threat of anything, but you kind of see, and what I'll see if there's any. Way and toward. So there is a little bit. You see, and this is what I'm talking about right here. Let me turn the reflectivity back on. On the south side of this storm, it just looks suspicious. That's all. I'll tell you what I'm looking at. Even though it's very broad, you see this area of green and red, and that's on the south side of the storm. So there may be some broad rotation here. I'm not really ready to call it that, but I don't really like the configuration of this storm, and I'll tell you what I'm looking at. See that little appendage on the bottom side here? So with these storms, particularly the ones that we've seen this afternoon, at least I've been looking at, as they move east, they develop these little appendages on the south side. So there may actually be some broad rotation here just south of downtown. This could be heading up towards Canton. No immediate concerns for a tornado at all, nothing like that, but the shape of it looks suspicious. And I did notice on velocity, there's a little bit of broad rotation, but nothing to be too alarmed about right now. Just damaging winds and heavy rain with this particular storm right now. Let's go over to the eastern shore. Switch over to the Dover radar. Talbot County, now under a severe thunderstorm warning. Goes till 6 o'clock for central Talbot. And this is the storm I was talking about earlier. So we've got this one that's going to be heading up towards 50. And the eastern area, Oxford, it looks like it's moving in that region right now. Looks like Tillman Island is leaving you. And it looks like the bulk of it probably is going to pass just south of St. Michael's, although you're going to get grazed by it. And the trap area as well. But you can see where the heaviest part of the storm is down here where all this red and purple. So we've got all this down here over the bay that's going to be moving up in this general direction. So eventually, southwestern parts of Carroll County will may be affected by this if it holds together. So just heads up for you in that area. So in the Preston area out towards Bethlehem and Harmony and American Corner, should stay north of Federalsburg, but this storm is heading up in that general direction. So need to watch that one carefully. And then we've got this storm here that's down in the southern Calvert that's eventually going to be moving into parts of Dorchester County. I'll switch the radar back. And it looks like I'm down here in southern Howard County, and let me look out. It's incredibly dark right now. And I do want to emphasize, where we live, we lose power almost every single time we get severe storms here. So unfortunately, if I lose power, the live stream is going to get cut off. But I just want to let you know that ahead of time. If it suddenly cuts out, that's probably what happened. But these storms are kind of making their way into our direction right now. But you could see how the general movement is towards the east at about 30 to 35 miles an hour. We've got these little isolated storms that are popping up out of the head of the main line. I think that if there's any tornado threat with any storms this evening, it's going to be with individual storms that pop up ahead of the main solid line. So we've got this solid line of storms pushing through. And then we've got these little individual ones, particularly ones near the bay where they'll likely maybe interact with the bay breeze circulation that has developed this afternoon. So we could be looking at some brief rotation with some of these storms as they ride along the bay breeze. But if there's any chance for any tornadic storms, it most likely is going to be with these isolated storms that are running out ahead of the main cluster. The problem with these lines of storms, at least from a tornado producing standpoint, is that there's too much interference. These storms like to be by themselves. They don't want to compete with anything else to be able to produce tornadoes. And in this particular case, we've got just a huge mass of heavy rain and storms. So tornadoes have a little more difficult time developing in this kind of situation, although sometimes you can get spin-ups with these clusters or lines of storms as they push on through. But you get the idea here. We've got a large area of heavy thunderstorms that's making its way through the region right now. Let me go back over to some of your questions. Mark wants to know about Marriottsville. Storms are pretty much on top of you now, or they're going to be there very shortly. Janet watching in Bel Air, appreciate it. And by the way, if you know anyone that doesn't have access to TV or whatever and they need to know what's going on, I will be here off and on throughout the evening to kind of let you know. So share the stream, tell everybody about it, and I'll try to inform you as best I can. Got some hail in Baltimore City. Let me know how big your hail is, Debbie. If you're getting hail with this storm right now, let me know how big it is. I'll turn the loop off. So there is hail being reported with it. If anything, it'll probably be around the Dundalk area, where you see that purple right there. That's going to be the most likely area. So that doesn't surprise me there. If I were to guess, probably the hail maybe about penny to dime size with this. So correct me if I'm wrong. Let me see if anybody is. Sarah says getting dark in Glen Burnie. Yep, those storms are almost on top of you now. So this is the storm in Glen Burnie. And like I said, it's these small ones, these real tiny ones that pop up by themselves. They're moving in the northeasterly direction. The line is coming in from the west, and then you've got that other one up in the Harford County that's coming in from the northwest to the southeast. Then you get these tiny ones that start popping up ahead. Those are the ones to watch again for the tornado threat. Notice how this one in Baltimore City is all by itself. You've got this one separate, and then this big cluster of storms here that's out to the west. So those are the ones we'll have to watch for tornado threat, the individual isolated. Thundering nicely at the house now. Getting a little bit closer. Right out here. So Dayton out towards Glenelg, West Friendship, Mount Airy, Damascus, Olney, Sandy Spring, down into Montgomery County, and then getting out close to 29 around the Columbia area up towards places like Jessup and Elk Ridge. Ellicott City, not quite there yet. It's coming. It should be there in about another 10 minutes. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect there. We're probably seeing, this one expires in 4 minutes, so we're going to probably see another one issued that's likely going to encompass the rest of Montgomery, parts of Prince George's County, and down into Anne Arundel County, and likely the rest of Baltimore County. So we're probably going to get an overlapping warning right in this general area that'll probably go until 6:30, 6:45 or so. Let me see if the Weather Service is showing any signs of that. They're not giving any indication of wanting to. They're going to issue one. I'm almost sure of it. Okay, let me go back to your questions. Sheila's got dark clouds and wind in Owings Mills. Hasn't started raining yet. Almost there. Where is this flash flood? Yep. Remember, I was telling you that there was going to be a flood threat with this one. It looks like they issued a flash flood warning with this storm. And let me go in here. So if you're in this area, you don't need me to tell you that this storm is unloading rain on you right now. You probably noticed throughout the day how sticky it was. Whenever storms develop in this kind of environment, they have no problem wringing out all that moisture and dumping it right on top of you. And this one is only moving at about 10 miles an hour. The other ones are moving 30 and 40 miles an hour, but this one's just kind of slowly meandering and moving along. So it has more time to just dump rain over the same spot. And that's why we've got the flash flood warning in effect for this area due to that. And if I were to go and look at 1 hour precip totals, and this certainly makes sense. The yellow and orange here, that's 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. So let me zoom down a little bit closer here. So the Armistead Gardens area up towards Rosedale, all of this being affected by potential flash flooding. And this extends all the way back towards Johns Hopkins Hospital. Right where you see that, this is within the last hour. So these storms are going to produce 1 to 2 to 3 inch per hour rainfall rates. And if you happen to get under one that's really slow, it's going to give you a flash flood. Tornado warning is for Harford and Cecil County. So Harford and Cecil County, this tornado warning goes until 6 o'clock. And as of 5:28, which is right now, thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. And basically the entire line is being warned for that possibility of a tornado. So we could get a spin up here. And I'm going to see if I can find some of these circulations on this line. So I'm going to go over to velocity and see if I can pinpoint any areas of circulation. So you need to be in your safe place right now. And I see the circulation that they're talking about. It's just north of Bel Air. Right here, where you see all this red, and there's that one patch of green that's right over the Forest Hill area. So it looks like that may be one of several circulations that has developed here, and I put storm relative velocity and it really pops out. Actually, you can see there may be a couple of circulations here. So we've got this one that looks like it's right on Route 1 and north of Bel Air. So we've got this one here. And then it looks like, I would even argue there might be another one that is up here south of Delta, PA. So this is in the far northern portions of Harford County, northeast of Pilesville. So this is going to be around the Whiteford area. You can see right here, that may be a circulation. I don't think that one, well, yeah, it looks like it is. It's under the warning too. So these are the two circulations that they're looking at. This one right here, south of Delta, PA. And then we've got this other one that is north of Bel Air, right here. So we've got two circulations that could produce a tornado at any time. Right now, not seeing any, if we got any debris being lofted, and not seeing anything like that, although it probably would be difficult and chaotic to even see it in this kind of situation. But these are the two areas that were just warned, at least the entire warning. I'm going to circle them right here. So you see where the reds and greens are touching each other. Winds blowing towards the radar site in green. And think of it, winds blowing away from the radar or coming out hot, red. So Doppler radar can't measure winds going in a circular motion. It can only measure it going towards or away. And when you have a circulation like that, that's the way it shows up on velocity signatures. So green towards, red away, green towards, red away. So we've got two circulations here moving through parts of Harford County at the present time. So getting a little bit busy up here. And this is why the tornado watch was issued, because the environment was going to be a little bit more favorable for tornadoes in this area. Looks like I've got another warning that's come out. And that one circulation in, or at least in Baltimore County, it's still there. It's still there with that storm. I'm going to go back to my other radar. That's an ugly. Look at all that purple in it. By the way, if you're anywhere in this area, if you're watching from this area here, you can see all the different towns. This is Greektown, Armistead Gardens, up towards Rosedale. The heaviest, if there's going to be a hail with this, it's going to be in the purple and black area. So if you're up in this area, let me know how big your hail is if you do happen to get into it. John, don't want to be nervous about the storms at all. Don't worry about them. That's why I'm here to kind of help get you through it. Looks like my feed froze. Can anybody see me? Because I've got, and let me know. Let me know if you can still, I don't know if you can still hear me. I can't tell if I'm still on. So someone give me a shout out and let me know if you can still hear me. Okay. Alexa says she can hear me. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Because it looks like I froze up there for a minute. But what I was asking before is anybody in this area where this purple is, let me know if you're getting any hail and how big it is. It's going to be coming up on Essex here shortly, and also out towards Rosedale, some hail. And it looked like potentially it could be larger hail. But I want to go back up to this area of rotation, or at least there were two of them that I was tracking. And the one up near the one in far northern Harford County doesn't look as defined as it was. And then we've got this other one here, north of Bel Air. That was the one that looked a little bit more defined. Trying to, oh, I'm going to go back over to velocity and see if I can still see. It's still there. Notice how the green isn't as bright with the one to the north. The earlier, both of them actually were, you could see them fairly well. You see how bright it was there. But then recently, that one doesn't look quite as defined. But that's not to say, so we'll have to watch that one, particularly near the Churchville area, right here. See, so when you start seeing these pixels kind of getting really close to each other, even though it's not a strong circulation, it's still there. So let me all right, so I'm going to go back to the wide views and get an overview of what's going on with these storms. We've got several that we're watching. We've got the tornado warning for Harford and Cecil County. We've got this storm that is absolutely unloading on southeast Baltimore County and Baltimore City. You could see all the red, the purple here, heavy rain, maybe some hail from Edgemere and Dundalk all the way northward to Middle River. Foley's Quarters about to get some heavy rain just east of downtown right now. So it looks like it is moving out of downtown Baltimore, but you got more storms coming in from the west. Now they have extended the severe thunderstorm warning, as I expected, down into Montgomery County. So this includes places like Germantown and Rockville out towards Aldie and Sandy Spring and the Dayton, Highland, Fulton area into Howard County, Columbia, Jessup, Laurel eventually, and out towards Elk Ridge and perhaps the Savage area. Most of it, though, is west of 29 right now, at least the heaviest of the rain. Clarksville along 32. If you're going out that way and heading up towards I-70, very heavy go there. Ellicott City right now, still not seeing the heaviest of it, but it's just off to your west. And let's see, getting up into Carroll County and western Baltimore County. So look at all this red out here. All this is very heavy rain falling, and these little dots, of course, are the lightning strikes. Things improving nicely, though, for Frederick County. So things getting a little bit better out west and northwestern parts of Carroll County. So looking good there. But it's these little storms like this that are just real suspicious. And if you'll notice, these have a different motion on them than the storms out west. So these are coming in from the southwest and going this way. These are coming in from the west. And these kind of have a different storm motion on them. And as a result, with them being so isolated like that, they'll have a heightened threat for some rotation. So it's going to be the isolated storms that kind of pop up out ahead of the main line again that I'm going to be watching. Let's see how your rain totals are looking. Baltimore. Oh my gosh. Now this is within the last hour. This is really, really ramped up. You remember there was no orange. There was hardly any orange on this when I showed you this just a few minutes ago. Look at all that now. This is within the last hour. Let me put the scale up here. I don't think you can see it. This is going on 2.5. We're going to be coming up on 3 inches in an hour in this area. Flash flooding is likely ongoing, or at least beginning shortly in this area. Right in here. Highlandtown, down to Canton and South Baltimore, out towards Sparrows Point, and this extends all the way up towards Essex. All of this entire area, likely seeing flash flooding or will be shortly. All this area in red. Rosedale, same story. And this storm just is not moving. Or it is, it's just very slow. You can see how slow this is. Then you got another problem. You've got these storms coming in from the west that are going to merge with this and even add even more rainfall. So it's not out of the question that maybe some parts of this area, particularly that have been affected by this storm, by the time the evening's done, may get 5, maybe 6 inches of rainfall. So don't be surprised if you start seeing rainfall totals that high. So we've got the solid line of storms now pushing through. And notice there's nothing going on back to the west. I want to get our friends out in western Maryland. Notice there's nothing going on. Garrett, Allegheny, and into Washington County. Things are quietening down. Also into Frederick County. The focus now is shifting east. The focus now is beginning to shift eastward into Montgomery County, into parts of eastern and central Howard County, and up into Baltimore County as well. We still have that tornado warning in effect for Harper and Cecil. Don't want to forget about you guys and see where the circulation is right now, and still watching 2 of them. And we could see something pop up right along the leading edge of this line here as it moves through. So we've got several little weak areas of rotation. You can kind of see them right there. Green and red, green and red, green and red. And those little small areas of spin could spit out a little brief tornado, although right now the circulation does not look tight enough where anything like that's occurring. At the very least, you're going to get strong damaging winds out of this 60 to 70 miles an hour. Let's see. So the big cluster of storms is moving at about 35 miles an hour. And it's actually picked up a little bit of speed. So let me turn the reflectivity back on. And I will, actually, I'm going to flip over to this other one, and I'm going to do this. and I will do a storm track. Let me see what the latest motion. 35. All about 35 to 40. Lots of lightning and thunder and heavy rain at the house right now. Nothing out of the ordinary. Boy, it is really coming down. And it is pitch black. 5:42, and it's like nighttime outside. Storm track on it. Crazy. I can do this any other time except now. Again, just a reminder, I lose power in these situations. So if I happen to lose power, the stream will likely cut off. But I will jump back on if that happens to occur and I get my power back. But hopefully that will not happen. So here's the latest storm track on the cluster of storms out to the west. I'm going to move this up farther so get all the communities in here. So Clarksville, we're getting it now. Out towards Columbia, 5:46. White Marsh, 6 o'clock. Glen Burnie, 6 o'clock ish. Joppatown, 6:12. Edgewood, 6:18. So got that cluster of storms there. This is just turning into a real mess. So we've got these coming in from the west here, 35 to 40 miles an hour. You've got these coming in from the southeast at about 40 miles an hour. Good track on that. All right, so we got this cluster of storms in Harford County, Cecil County. You can see the storm projection on that if it were to continue on this track. So it would affect the rest of Cecil County. Lights flickering, by the way. Down to Aberdeen, Port Deposit, close to 6 o'clock. And then eventually down towards Chesapeake City and the Galena area by 6:20, 6:15, 6:20 or so. So northern Kent's going to be getting in on this as it moves south and eastward. But you see all the communities that potentially are going to be affected by this, including Aberdeen Proving Ground, just before 6 o'clock. And then you've got this other cluster that's going to be coming in from the southwest. You've got storms that are probably going to merge right over Harford County. Again, my lights are flickering. Got power outages. Got power outages. Hopefully, I did not lose you guys. Anybody give me a shout and let me know if I'm still on, because I don't have a clue right. Power keeps flickering. Okay, so I'm back, but very spotty. Okay, good, good. So the storms are moving through my area right now, and our lights are flickering here, so I don't know if the internet's cutting out or not. But just hang with me. I'll be back if I do happen to just go out altogether. But that's kind of what's happening right now. Is that the power keeps going off and flickering, and it just kind of gives you an idea just how much lightning we're getting with these storms. Half hour or so. Those strong to severe storms developing all across the region right now. And these over into the eastern shore. You see. These over on the eastern shore. They're probably gonna put another warning out for this one, I would guess. I'll switch over to the Dover radar, see if I can get a better sample on it. But I do think they probably are going to issue a warning for Caroline, parts of Talbot and Queen Anne's County with this particular storm here. So we've got this cluster of storms that's moving northeast. So we're probably going to get another warning for this general area here. So heads up for you in the Williston area, the Williston area out towards Greensboro and Goldsboro, Marydale, back towards Hillsboro, Cordova. Easton is going through your area right now, and really anywhere in eastern portions of Queen Anne's County. This is going to stay south of Centerville. And it looks like we've got another warning now in effect for Kent County. That's for this cluster that's coming across the bay. And that same cluster of storms in Baltimore County is actually going to merge with this line, and it's going to be basically pushing in this general direction over towards Rock Hall and out towards Tolchester Beach and Chestertown. So we've got this area of storms that is going to be surging eastward over into Kent County, hence the severe thunderstorm warning there. We've got the tornado warning that remains in effect, although right now I'm not seeing any indications of a developing tornado in Harford or Cecil County. I got a little better look at it here. Jump on here, make sure I'm still online. So if there's going to be any rotation, it would be somewhere in here right along this leading edge where these stronger winds are kind of surging out. So you may get a circulation popping up along that. That's going to be pushing over into Cecil County here shortly. So we still have that tornado warning in effect there. And then we've got a severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued for the rest of Cecil County to account for this Boeing segment that's pushing in that general direction there. These are some nasty storms, especially down here in Montgomery County and Howard County. And then, of course, that one in Baltimore County. And I'm really interested to see what kind of rainfall totals we've gotten in this area. So you can see storm total precip in this general area around 3 inches. So right there in Baltimore City and Baltimore County, southern parts of Baltimore County, around Essex, that's where we're seeing some of the heaviest rain out of that particular storm. And within the last hour, we've picked up close to 3 inches of rainfall. This certainly doesn't surprise me at all. There's Miller Island right there, Edgemere and Essex. Some of the heaviest storms are just south of Bowley's Quarters now. And this will make its way eventually over into parts of Kent County, which is the reason why they issued the severe thunderstorm warning there. Light still flickering, by the way. So hopefully I don't lose power. These storms are producing an insane amount of lightning right now. Okay, so to kind of recap what's going on here, looks like we've got before I get to that, got a tornado warning now for Talbot County. Remember I was telling you that these storms that were popping up out ahead of the main line were going to be real suspicious. So notice how we've got these storms and there's this curl on the back side of it. So any of these that are moving out ahead of the main line in a southwest to northeast direction, we're going to have a potential threat for tornadoes. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. And I'm going to go to my other radar because I think I'll get a little better vantage point. I'm going to switch over to Dover. Power keeps flicking on and off here. So there's their area of rotation. I mean, these warnings are coming out fast and furious now, one after the other. So here's your tornadic circulation right now. If you're in Talbot County, particularly between Hampton and Oxford, there's your area of rotation right there. Winds blowing towards the radar site, which over towards Dover, Delaware. The winds blowing here, winds blowing away. There is a circulation right here that's about to move onshore into southwestern Talbot County. So then this tornado warning was issued for that tornadic circulation right there. And eventually, again, it's going to be tracking up towards 333. So I'm going to go in a little bit tighter here so we can see which areas are going to be affected. And really want to turn these skits off. But Island Acres up towards Sailor's Retreat. So you see the locate. If you're familiar with this part of Talbot County, this is where the area of circulation is right now. So that new tornado warning is going to be for that right there. That's the area of rotation right there. It's going to track northeast. And I think the motion on this probably is about 35 if I were to get. Oh, only at 10. Interesting. This is another one of those slow moving ones. New severe thunderstorm warning for the area that I mentioned earlier. This is for that storm, Caroline, Queen Anne's, as well as northern Talbot. So I had said they were going to issue a warning for that, and that's exactly what they did. So they've issued a warning for that particular storm. We've got the tornado warning down here. So this storm is not moving very quickly at all. And there's your area of rotation. I keep losing power here. There's the area of rotation right there. Tracking northeast up towards Oxford. So again, if you live anywhere south of 333, this is going to likely pass just west of Hampton, but you can see that area of rotation is going to be heading into southwestern portions of Talbot County very shortly. Natalia, thank you for letting me know I'm still on. And sorry I keep mentioning that, but literally, I've got a raging thunderstorm going on here at the house. There's lightning popping around everywhere, and the lights are flickering. So we usually lose power when we get in storms like this. It just seems like we're just prone to that. So apologies ahead of time if the stream gets cut off as a result of lightning, or perhaps or a power outage as a result of that. But so far, so good. I just wanted to give you a heads up on that, and I will get back on. So don't go away. I'll try to get back on as soon as I can if I do happen to lose power. All right, so we've got that tornado warning there for Talbot. We still have. And what I want to do is go back up to the storms here. That rotation, by the way, does not look as defined as it did before, so that's some good news there. I want to go back up here. Looks like we got a new tor. New tornado warning now for Cecil. This one goes until 6:30. And there's your area of rotation right there. Green and red. Another power hit. Right over Rising Sun, at least in the vicinity of Rising Sun. You can see that area of rotation is tightened up. And let me see if there's another one. There is another one that is down near Havre de Grace. It's not as well defined as the one farther towards the north, but looks like there may be one there. And then there's another one, that other one that I said that I think is a little bit stronger, which is up around Rising Sun. What I'll do, you know what, since that's in Cecil, I'm going to switch over to the Dover radar, see if I can get a Yeah, you can kind of see it there. And if you'll notice, you have this little wavy pattern here. And sometimes you'll get these little areas of the line that will surge out ahead and go faster than another part of the line. So you'll get these little, what we call mesovortices on the very leading edge. And I do think that that tightened up. It actually is still tight here, just south of rising sun. So let me look and see on correlation coefficient. I'm not seeing any signs of debris. So basically what I'm looking at here is called correlation coefficient. And what dual pole Doppler radar could do is it can tell the difference between rain, it can tell the difference between stuff flying around in the air. And so what we look for are what we call CC drops, or basically a change in color from what's uniform. This is what we call a uniform color. And if I were seeing anything that may perhaps be maybe kind of a green or a blue color amongst this red, then that would be a little bit suspicious in the concentrated area that's near that circulation. And right now, I'm not seeing that. But there is an area of rotation. Can you guys hear that thunder? Dang. So it looks like that rotation has weakened a little bit. See how it got really bright there? It had some pinks, and then it eventually just kind of unwound. So that area of rotation now near the Greenhurst area is going to pass just south of Calvert. And headed right over towards Elkton. Right now, Elkton just kind of heads up for you. Northeast, same story. Watch this Indian Falls. Really anywhere along 95. At the very least, you'll get strong winds out of it. But there's that circulation right there. You can see how it really tightened up there for a minute, and it's not nearly as strong. But this extends all the way down the line. And then we've got a really nasty surge of wind that's coming into southern Cecil and up towards the Betterton area in northern Kent. So we're going to get some strong winds as this pushes onshore from the bay. Look at all this rain. It is unloading rain in Baltimore County right now. Same thing for Anne Arundel. This storm also in Montgomery County. This extends back towards Potomac, goes all the way up towards Burtonsville and Calverton, Conterra, and then up towards Laurel. This is going to be heading over towards Fort Meade. So heads up for you, central northern Anne Arundel County. These storms are going to be pushing into your area shortly. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning here, including Bowie, Prince George's County, through parts of northern Anne Arundel County from Edgewater northward. That does include Annapolis and extends up towards Glen Burnie. So this area of storms, and I'm telling you right now, this is going through our area right now. I live out in Howard County. These storms, once they get there, they're going to produce a lot of lightning, a lot of gusty winds. Although I'm not seeing any signs that anything's blown down out there, but very heavy rain and very prolific lightning at the very least. No reports of any hail. At least I haven't heard any outside the house here, but you can see how this band of storms is kind of pushing eastward. It'll be affecting Anne Arundel County. Let me see if my battery's okay. Yeah, it looks like I'm good. I just want to make sure that my battery wasn't run out. So here's what we've got going on. Here's the wide view. Looks like it. Is this the new? This is new. This was issued about 5 minutes ago. We got 2 tornado warnings right now. We've got this one in Cecil County for that circulation I was just tracking there. Here's the other circulation I was watching near Aberdeen. That's another tornado warning. Severe thunderstorm warning for all of Cecil County. Then we've got severe thunderstorm warnings, Howard, Montgomery, northern Prince George's, and northern Anne Arundel. Baltimore County just flash flood warning right now. And over on the eastern shore, we've got Kent. We also have Talbot, Caroline, down into looks like Dorchester County 2. So this is for that other storm that I was watching. This one's also going to have to be watched too. Notice how they Notice how they all have that shape. I want to show you. See how this one kind of curls like this? Notice how this one curling like this? That's why the tornado watch was issued. There's a little bit more wind shear right around the bay, and it's certainly not surprising because a lot of times what'll happen with a sunny afternoon, you know this if you've been here for a while, you get the bay breeze circulation. Well, any kind of boundary, whether it's a bay breeze, a sea breeze, an outflow boundary, when the storms like this that are isolated and detached from one another try to tap into that circulation, it pulls it up, stretches it out, and it spins faster. And sometimes you can get these little tornadic circulations here. So it would not shock me at all if they eventually put a tornado warning on this storm in Dorchester County. Just a heads up for you. So particularly if you live in the Cambridge area, watch this storm coming up from the southwest. They all have that little backwards hook kind of figuration, or at least the hook feature on them. And now that this Talbot County storm has moved on shore, pass a little bit fast, they all have that look. Let me go up into this one here, what it's doing, rotation one. It's still there. It's not really strong. It never really was, but you could see it better when it was offshore. Now that it has moved on shore, it's not quite as defined, but it's still there. As it crosses over 333. So this is going just east of Oxford. So if you're in the Oxford area, this is passing just off to your east. And we'll see if it makes it up to Easton. Right now, Easton, I'm not concerned about you being affected by this. If you're down in the Trap area, not affected. But if you live between Trap and Easton, this weak circulation may be passing over your area. Nothing really to be concerned about right now, but something to watch as it lifts off to the east. More than likely, it'll probably just be dropped and it'll just be a severe thunderstorm warning, but you could just never tell. It's still a fairly healthy looking storm. And the tornado threat is going to be mainly restricted to these isolated storms that are popping up out ahead of the main line. And you see the main line is now pushing through Baltimore County right now. So the only tornado warning we have in effect right now, from to my knowledge, is this one that's up here in Cecil County. So I'll go back up into this one. I want to see what this circulates. I mean, still there. It looks like, if anything, it's just west of Fair Hill. There may actually be a couple of them. But the problem with these areas of rotation is that they're so brief that they'll be there and then they won't be there. So they'll pop up, they'll spin up, and then they're gone. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. That it was a really, you could really see it back to the west, but now it's not quite as defined, but it's still there. And I'm watching it. And then you may get some other ones that'll pop up a little bit farther towards the south. I've been doing a lot of talking, so I'm going to go over and check and see what you guys are saying here. I haven't gotten any comments lately. Hope you guys are still with me. Like I'm on Facebook.